Welcome. This is the Smitty Bros SaceCast, part 3.
Yeah.
Of the story.
Yep.
We left off in our last one. We were at our crossroads, and we made the right decision to not sue our sister in court. So we're coming out of that, stepping into the great unknown with no company, no money, and we had to figure out what we're going to do with our lives.
Yeah. So that's where we were.
That's where we were. We had just
did we offer the mediation?
we had offered the mediation,
The First
and it was
Corinthians
denied.
6 mediation. That was denied. And so what do we do now?
What do we do? Yeah. I remember we had to move in together.
Yeah. At that point, with no income and not really knowing what we were going to do next, Porter had a bigger house than I had that he was renting. And so I moved out of my house with my wife and baby and moved into the lower half of Porter's house. And I think for the first, I don't know how many months it was until we regrouped and got a plan. I think it happened pretty quick, but we were supported by friends and family during that time.
Yeah, we weren't the only ones that left and separated from the company either.
No, we weren't. There was a whole crew of people that separated from the company and left the company. And, you know, basically the company, in the groups that were a part of the company, there was my sister, her husband, and then her husband's siblings.
That was like
That was like the crew that stayed.
Yeah.
And I think they had some friends, like her husband's friends, a few of those people that stayed around. But the rest of the family, outside of, you know, my sister and her husband and her husband's extended family, outside of that, the rest of our family left the company. So our parents walked, our younger brother Casey walked. I think Joel had already left, but you know.
Yeah, he was gone. Yeah, not many, like a third of the people stayed.
Yeah.
That were a part of that original crew.
Yep.
And you know, the act that we took that actually kind of solidified it for us was to eventually sign over the company also. Basically the shares that we had of that shell company, Bitchin Inc. So we had to...
Yeah, I remember that point. It was like, we need to, you know, without that mediation taking place, we need to, and the nefarious things that went down, we're like, we need to completely separate ourselves from this loco thinking and whatever else it would be possibly attached to that. Because if you listen to the last podcast, you know, our sister in I call it like a matrix world that she was living in, this reality that no one else was living in. In that world, it was, you know, she was going to, you know, she said she wanted to, after taking the intellectual property of the sauce and all the accounts and all the money and basically stripping the guts out of our company, Bitchin Inc., she wanted to maintain an owner of Bitchin Inc. or whatever in her mind she was.
She still wanted to share in anything we created from that point.
Yeah,
if we stayed.
Yeah, she wanted to share in that. So that was, we were like, no, we're not going to have anything to do with her or be connected to her in any way, shape, or form. So that's when we gave, I remember it was like, we're giving whatever shares we have, whatever would communicate with her.
Yeah.
You know, if you listen to the last podcast, she said, you know, the shares were in question and,
Yeah.
you know, she made up all these things, but it was, we were like, all right, well, whatever we have, we're giving back to the company.
Yeah.
And then we also, you know, as a quorum of that company and the majority of that company, we got rid of we nullified any NDAs, we nullified any non-competes,
Yeah.
we nullified all of it. And we did that before we gave away our shares, but
Our final act.
gave back our, that was our final act within the company, was nullifying any contracts or anything that was signed.
Yeah.
And then we, you know, gave our shares back to
Yeah.
the company, whatever they were in their minds, just separating ourselves. So
Yeah.
that was that. And then moving forward from that point, I remember there was this pepper tree in your front yard, and we had 2 like Adirondack style chairs under that. And we would go under that tree and pray every morning for direction. You know, like, what the heck are we going to do?
Yeah.
And so what's interesting about this point is, like, you're put in a situation where, because of somebody's, you know, and this is, you know, all from my perspective, from somebody's poor, you know, unsound choices. Now I'm thrown into this situation that, where it's like, well, do I keep doing what I was doing before? Mm-hmm. Or do I do something else? Mm-hmm. You mentioned in the last podcast that, you know, like when our aunt and uncle decided to take the sauce and start making it, you know, it was always in our minds to work with people and have it be a blessing for.
Yeah, we didn't want to go into.
We didn't want to compete. Yeah, we didn't want to compete with our own family. Yeah. So now here we are again, and it's like, well, if I make sauce and continue to do that, mm-hmm. I'm going in direct competition with my sister, mm-hmm. and that's not something that I would typically go and do. You know, that's not something that is, you know, that I would do. But then, like, thinking through it, it's like, well, you know, I didn't do this. I didn't put myself in direct competition. Essentially, the poor choices mm-hmm. put them in a position of competition.
Yeah.
So we decided to move forward. We got over that, decided to move forward, and we're like, we're just going to continue on doing what we know how to do, doing what we're good at. We have contacts. We have all this stuff. We're going to start a new company, mm-hmm. and we're going to go bigger and better and faster than we've ever gone. Because, you know, another thought, you know, was some of that unsound thinking was hindering the growth of the company. And so we knew that being free from that unsound thinking and free to move and make it happen, that we could go much faster.
Yep.
And so we started a new company.
And at this point,
yeah.
You know, Bitchin Sauce was not a massive company. It was not in every store. I mean, we were in several regions, and we were
up to the Bay Area and over to Colorado.
Yeah. And, you know, we had done some good work, some good foundational work, but it was still a race to be the main nut-based sauce out there. It was still the market was still yet to be captured.
Yeah, like wide open.
Yeah. So seeing that opportunity, knowing we could move super fast.
Yep.
That is when we started our new sauce company, and
Yep.
we started Good Lovin' Foods.
Yep. And when we started that company, our mom and dad had walked from Bitchin Sauce, and we really didn't want to leave anyone who made a righteous choice behind. So everybody who walked from that company, when we started our new company, we gave shares in the new company. Mm-hmm. Our mom was a larger owner in the new company, because not everybody was a part of building our new company, but our mom was.
Yeah.
And us. Mm-hmm. And
it was everybody who was part of the profit sharing.
Oh, the profit sharing, that's right.
Bitchin.
Yeah.
So when we established this profit sharing program inside Bitchin Sauce before the meltdown, the program was set that even if you didn't work for Bitchin,
you were going to get your profit.
You were going to get your profit sharing.
That's correct.
And
that means Casey.
Yep.
That means mom. That means dad. That means Joel. That means our wives. Yep.
So there was 7 people that were a part of the profit sharing that, when the breakup happened, were also stolen from.
Yeah, they all were taken from also. Mm-hmm. Has anybody seen a cent of profit sharing?
No.
No, they haven't.
No, that program was dissolved when people didn't agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, that's not right.
Yeah.
Those were people who didn't even have, who essentially, they weren't even a part of, they had nothing to do with that,
There's 8 people. We forgot about Manny.
Oh, yeah.
Manny, our
graphic designer. Yeah, they weren't even, like our younger brother, completely innocent. Mm-hmm. Completely innocent. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy.
Yep.
And all his work, our younger brother, he used to juice. When we first started, we used to pick lemons from lemon trees. I mean, we had like the most artisan of products. And he would juice those lemons. And everybody in our family sacrificed so much to get that company off the ground, and to be promised that and to see nothing from that is horrible.
Yeah. But to make it right, we gave them portions
of the new
ownership of the new company.
Yeah, that was within our power to do and take care of people. So that's what we did. And we brought in some investors, and we raised some money, and we were off to the races, starting a new product. We decided that we were going to find a co-packer. Mm-hmm. We were going to extend our shelf life. Just some of these pain points in our old brand, we're like, we need to fix these pain points and get past this and really run. And
we tried to make it healthier and organic.
Yeah.
And
organic. That was a big one. So to kind of sum up, I guess the next year, and maybe it was like a year and a half of building that brand, we launched our dips into Whole Foods. Mm-hmm. Right next to our old brand. Mm-hmm. We had a manufacturer in San Diego, and we were able to get, I don't even know how many different regions of Costco we landed. Three different regions of Costco. And
very quick, within the first year
of
products hitting the shelves,
we
were back to $1 million a year in revenue, and we were beating out because Bitchin had got that Costco deal also, and they were doing demos in San Diego, and they were doing demos in roadshows in Arizona.
Yeah.
They were doing some in Colorado, and
yeah.
we took over that space.
Yeah.
And we were doing that same move to a town and demo. Move to a town, demo.
Yeah.
And I had actually, at that point, to grow fast, I had moved out of my house. You had moved out, and you moved in with our parents.
Yep.
And I had bought a trailer and stuck my 2 kids and my wife in this trailer, and we set out on the road.
Yeah.
And and we hit Colorado, demoing and road showing and beating out our old brand. We were really cutting the tip of the spear of this type of product into the marketplace. Doing
we went organic. We were first organic on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah. There were some other tweaks that we made to the product.
Yep.
But it was still an almond-based sauce, and it was much like Bitchin Sauce.
Yeah.
But what Bitchin Sauce didn't have was us.
Yeah.
And that's what really drove that brand really fast.
Yeah.
And we went wide in our marketing, not necessarily so deep into the communities like we did with Bitchin Sauce over the years. You can dig down into the market or into the lives of your customers where you're solid for, come rain or shine, they're still going to get your product.
Yep.
But what we did is we went wide very fast.
Yep.
And tried to get this brand into as many stores as we possibly could, as fast as we could, and tried to support that. So we even sent, I remember sending our parents to live.
Our parents lived different places.
They lived in LA for a time. They lived
Oregon.
in Portland for a time.
Yep.
Setting up demo teams, demoing.
Yep.
It was kind of all hands on deck in a scramble to be the first.
Yep. We were kind of in a position where we could pull that off. Everybody was a little uprooted anyway, so it was like, let's just go and get this thing done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was wild.
That was wild. And, while this is happening, you're seeing, Bitchin Sauce is still out there. They're making changes to the products. They're,
making an organic version.
They're making an organic version. They are,
extending the shelf life.
Extend their shelf life just how we did it. And I think they saw if they didn't, move to adapt and adjust quickly to what we were doing, they were going to get beaten.
Mm-hmm.
And they changed the face on the lid.
That was one of the first things they did. Yeah. So if you remember, if you listen to the other podcast, my Bitchin' face was on the label, and they quickly changed that to, I think it was one of Star's, Star's oldest son, to his face, and they switched that. One thing, what's funny that we just realized recently in looking at some of these pictures is they switched the face, but they didn't switch the shoulders and the chest, the body part of the logo. That's still me.
It is still your body.
It's still my body on that label. Give me back my body. What were we saying?
Well, they're using your body.
They're using me for my body.
Yeah. My gosh. It's still, we didn't really forensically go in there and look at everything, but it's you. It's your body with a different face on it. So that's funny that you are still involved in their marketing to this day. But no, they were making changes and kind of following along the path of what we were doing, just to make a more superior product. And that's competition. That's healthy. That makes better for all customers. So welcome to do that, and still welcome to this day to make your product better. One thing that's just so interesting is that our sister, she created her own competition, and you don't want you and I as competition in the almond-based sauce marketplace. Actually, probably anywhere in any type of product. And we didn't want to do this, but we're not going to change. Well, when you have the greatest sauce salespeople in the world, sitting next to each other, and someone can't sideline that. Someone can't redirect that. We have to continue to sell sauce. The world needs us to.
Yeah.
And so we are our sister's greatest competition to this day.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? In all of, up until this point in the story, we literally haven't done anything different. Mm-mm. We never made a decision against what my sister wanted. Mm-mm. We asked questions, mm-hmm. and we shined light and truth, and was getting to the heart of the matters for understanding, to see what's going on here. But to this day, we have never made a choice different.
No, we haven't done anything different.
We haven't done anything different, and we didn't make any choices that were against what my sister wanted in the first place. Mm-hmm. We never did.
Yeah,
we didn't do anything. It wouldn't have even been wrong, but we did not make a choice.
We never took a vote.
We didn't do any of it. We did nothing.
We talked about doing stuff.
Yeah, we were trying to understand and figure it out, but we actually never moved forward. Yeah. We just were searching for understanding, shining light, and uncovering things by asking questions and, finding the truth and the answers behind them.
Yeah. One thing we did do differently with our new company is that we wanted to protect ourselves a little bit more and not be, not make the same mistakes that we had just made by picking the wrong partner and not having agreements in place. So in an establishment of our
communication is what I like to call it. Not moving forward without clear communication about this is what we're doing and this is how we work.
Yeah. So in our new company, Good Lovin' Foods, those were priorities. We put together a shareholders agreement. We issued stock certificates.
Yep.
We issued, we did non-compete with our co-packer, mm-hmm. Non-disclosure with our co-packer.
Yep.
Everything was legally protected.
Yep.
And even between us, and we had invited our mom in, which she was actually kind of shocked that we would do this, but we brought mom in as a 1/3 owner of the new company.
Yep.
Part of the reason behind that is because in the Bitchin Sauce world, we had a wing of products, Bitchin Bars, which we were selling at farmers markets. We actually got into Whole Foods.
Yeah, our mom came up with those, the bars.
Yeah, it was her recipe and her
little project within Bitchin Sauce was the bars.
Yeah, and it was growing too.
Yeah, we got in Whole Foods out in Colorado, and
it was going into food service, and it was going into smoothie places, cafes and things like that. People were using those bars.
Yeah,
and so it was growing also. Mm-hmm. And when Bitchin Sauce was taken out of Bitchin Inc., the only thing left there was the bars.
Yep.
Because Star didn't want anything to do with the bars.
Yep. Oh, she did. She wanted ownership in them.
Oh yeah, that's right. But she didn't care about, taking those on herself. So, when we did, sign over our shares back to, Bitchin Inc., one of the things we did do is take the inventory of bars out. That was actually the last time I saw Star, was when we were in the back of the Bitchin facility, and we were like, well, if these bars are made for Mom, and we're gonna take those out of the facility, and we loaded those into a truck.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Mom has a third ownership in this new company, to basically just make it right,
Yeah.
And at the time, it was hard to work with Mom because she's from another generation, and we were. It was, you and I are very just go, almost like ask for permission, later, or forgiveness, ask for forgiveness later, like move quickly. I don't think Mom had a good feeling about going into competition with Star in the first place.
I don't think she wanted to.
And, but she didn't really have another choice. She could have.
I mean, she had all the choices in the world to do whatever she wanted, but that was just something that we offered, and I know that she didn't want to go into competition with, and this is probably her own personal journey of whatever is going through her mind. Her only daughter, doing these things, and we actually have a great letter from our mom that she wrote to Star that we'll show also
when it was all going down.
When it was all going down, and we'll talk about that one probably in a later podcast. But it was a fantastic letter that she wrote. But yeah, in the same way that I'm in my own mind thinking, am I going to go into competition with my family? Like, this is just unprecedented,
Yeah.
So she was probably having those same thoughts, but I feel like I arrived at a conclusion a lot sooner.
Yeah. So she was a third owner. We were moving quickly. We actually added chips to our
We did
lineup. We started
coconut oil
cooked tortilla chips, which
organic.
at the time wasn't
Nothing on the shelf at that time.
There was nothing in the marketplace like that. Yep. And we got those into Whole Foods, and things were moving and shaking and going really fast. I was in San Francisco doing road shows at Costco with my family. Our trailer was parked out in Olema, which is out in Marin County, out in the country. And I would drive into San Francisco or the Bay Area and do road shows. And I was 3 months into a road show that was happening there. And a little bit of a backstory. We were working with someone who made hummus, the co-packer.
Yep.
He was a hummus maker, and he was a hummus maker for Costco.
Yeah.
And they could make almond-based sauce also, and they realized
they made it okay.
I mean,
I wasn't
as soon as we started making it ourselves again, we realized that that's what we need to do, is we need to make this ourselves. But they were making our product and sending it out, and it wasn't perfect. It had some separation issues, and we were working through some of that stuff. It had to do with the machinery that we're using, but they were well known with Costco.
Yep.
For their hummus. And one of the things that is interesting is that Costco had talked to them about doing a version of Bitchin Sauce.
Yep. Costco had approached them to say that they wanted him to copy Bitchin Sauce. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to the co-packer that we were using. He was like, "Hey, Costco approached me and said they want me to make Bitchin Sauce." Mm-hmm. And which I appreciated. I appreciated, him letting us know that. And at that point, it was, we had all our contracts in place, but we're like, well, I mean, if they want you to make Bitchin Sauce, like, it's fine if you make Bitchin Sauce. Like, I didn't care at that point if he made Bitchin Sauce, because our sauce was a lot. There were some big elements of our sauce that were way different than Bitchin Sauce.
Yeah.
That we were going. I mean, our product, was just a higher quality, better ingredient product. So there wasn't much threat there.
Yeah.
To what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so
we were. I mean, we had known about that. He was keeping us in the loop of Costco buyers that he was meeting with for hummus side of things.
Yeah.
And in the back pocket was our version of a dip also. So if anyone had any interest, he already makes us our stuff. He
would sell our stuff.
He would sell our stuff.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of
benefits him also.
Yeah. There was a lot of conversation about, where our co-packer was opening up his products and, trying to sell our products also in there, or at least bringing our products to these meetings.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Costco, wanting to do their own version of something that is lightning in a bottle,
Yeah.
And Kirkland's signature is they find very successful products and they do it their way.
Yeah.
And, that's normal. That's a normal thing out there. So I understand Costco doing that. What I don't understand is when our co-packer was asked to do that, why he decided to make our recipe and sell it to Costco.
Yeah.
And
that's what ended up happening is, go ahead.
I was in San Francisco doing a roadshow at the end of a 3-month roadshow, proving this concept.
Yep.
Killing myself to get as many people as possible to eat an almond-based dip that they've never had before.
Yeah. So, just to kind of explain the process with Costco, a lot of times this doesn't happen every time, but a lot of times with new products, to prove the concept, prove the numbers, you go into roadshows, which most people know what a roadshow is, any of the sampling that's happening where a company will come in and sample their product. Yeah. You can do road shows and not have your product actually slotted on the shelf in Costco. So
it's like a trial.
It's like a trial, testing it out, seeing how people receive it. And so that's the opportunity that we had, was to prove the concept. And that's what you were there doing. Our product was not permanently on the shelf. We were just out there proving the concept at all these different warehouses, doing great numbers and, getting it done.
Yeah. And roadshows are, 5 straight days of 10-hour plus days, plus the commute. And I'm coming in, I have a 2-hour commute in some cases.
Yeah.
So they're very, very,
they're not
very,
easy.
Very long days.
Yep.
And you're standing the entire time.
Yep. Talking the entire time.
Can't leave your post.
Yeah.
Something that we were trained in doing with farmers markets, and our road shows were record-breaking road shows. We can do more sales in a road show than I would say with a like product than anyone.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of a long time doing this in the Bay Area, I showed up at a Costco, and right next to our product was our co-packer's product, and it was called Almond Dip.
It wasn't called Almond Dip to begin with. It wasn't.
Well, it was,
And I'll tell you why.
and it was Chipotle.
It wasn't. No. This is even better. This is even better. It wasn't called almond dip. That was not their initial version of it. It showed up on the shelf next to our product, and it was called Awesome Sauce.
Really?
Yes. The first iteration of what they did was called Awesome Sauce. And I'll tell you how I know this.
How?
Well, I'll tell you.
Did you see the label?
As we move into the next phase of this. Oh. But it was called Awesome Sauce. And one of the things that separated us from Bitchin Sauce was we used nuts and seeds. Wasn't just almonds. It wasn't just almonds. We had seeds in ours to
like pepitas
to beef it up a bit.
Yeah.
And
the nutritional value.
Theirs was not Bitchin Sauce. Theirs was nuts and seeds.
Yeah.
And that was a problem.
Yes. Well, I saw it. What I saw in Costco next to my product was called almond dip. That was the label that was on it, and it had nuts and seeds.
Are you sure?
Yeah. And I think I'm trying to remember, but I think I just walked out of Costco. I got my stuff and walked out that day. I don't think I continued through it, and I made some phone calls, and we got, the crew on the phone and saying, "Hey, something's afoot here."
Yep.
It was, cheap. It was cheaper than our product was, so they had undercut us in price.
Yep.
They had done a deal with Costco where it was placed in every single location.
Yeah, an inline product like slotted.
It was and they were skipping the roadshow, and I felt like I was used.
Yeah.
I felt like I was
Totally.
a total loser. To go through all that work and have this happen again.
Yep.
To me.
Yeah.
And so, well, to us.
And pretty much at this point, this is like in terms of how our business was structured. We had contracts in place with all the legalities, but this is the point where you learn like you can even have contracts in place, but it doesn't stop people from making the wrong choice. And this was probably the riskiest area of our company, where if you just go through it, if something was to go down with the co-packer, your company, if you don't have something as a backup in place, you are kind of hung out there to dry unless you can figure something out.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had landed a deal with Costco on a very large level that was it was a done deal, and it was a few months away, and it was a slotted deal. And at this time that they launched their own product, the co-packer also said they're no longer going to be co-packing any more products. And that was a very,
like, they're flushing us.
Yeah. That was a very, scrambling time to try to set up another co-packer and all of that. And we found another one and priced it out and did everything we could. And we were just priced out of the deal that I had already made, and Costco wouldn't renegotiate the deal. Yeah. And at that point, that's when, essentially, we lost all of our business.
Yeah. Well, Costco is a major anchor in our company. It had grown so fast with Costco.
Yeah, we also had Whole Foods and some other things rolling.
Yeah, and our chips and our, we had multiple product lines out there.
Yeah.
And, but that hit of having to scramble to find a new co-packer, was enough time that, all accounts were hung out to dry.
Yeah.
And deals were no longer, they were no longer profitable.
Yep.
And even if they were a little bit profitable, that little bit of profit was wiped away.
Yep.
So Good Lovin' dip and Good Lovin' chips die.
Yep.
And we stopped doing them.
Yep. And we talked to an attorney during this time, and he's like, listen, you can go and spank this guy if you want. Like, it's everybody loses.
Yeah.
He's like, the lawyers will win. Everybody's going to lose otherwise. And, in that moment, it was, we're faced with, essentially we're faced with, well, the future is brighter than trying to spank somebody.
Yeah.
And especially when, we don't have a ton of experience in all the suing of people and all those things. We don't do that.
We don't do
that. But
we didn't do that then either.
no, we didn't do that then. We just, the lawyer was like, yeah, it's not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
So at that point, that was in the realm of like everything that we were doing and like everything we've been through. That was like a low of lows where I felt pretty low.
Yeah, didn't we like? I was in a trailer and I was like, well, I don't have a home, so I'm gonna drive this trailer to Boise, Idaho, and park it in my in-laws' house and live in their basement, and survive.
Yeah.
And you guys were in survival mode.
Yeah, we were in survival mode. I just started selling things. I started selling my possessions that I did have, selling my truck, selling things just to survive and figure out like what the heck are we going to do? And we just there. It was just it was like that was a rough time. That was a rough time of like going, I can't believe I'm in this situation.
Yeah.
And
I remember when we were like searching, we were wanting just any type of information to move forward, and we were like, okay, we need coaching. And so I flew down from Idaho here to San Diego, and we went to a coaching seminar, and we spent some money to get
some one-on-one coaching.
To get some one-on-one business coaching. And it was you, me, and mom and dad.
Yep.
And we were going into this, like, how do we save this company if this company is to be saved?
Yeah.
We did have the bars were still actually in our possession. We still
we had some bar manufacturing equipment.
Yeah.
And that was all we had.
That's all we had.
That was all we had.
And our idea was we could take these bars and just do exactly what we did with Sauce.
Yeah. That was the idea. And we're like,
we have to make them ourselves.
We're like, yeah, well, you're thinking through it and you go, if I make it myself, I'm not going to get screwed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, in that coaching thing, the coach was like, so what sauce are we making next? Isn't that what he said?
Well, that was funny. It's kind of the punchline to this whole coaching session, because we went in, we're like, all right, we're going to do whatever this coach says we should do. We're going to put all of our stuff aside. We're going to, we're going to explain that we're moving and we're going to do these bars, and these bars are going to make it, but we just need really good coaching on how to move on from this point.
Yeah.
But we're going to do whatever he says. I remember sitting down and like the first thing out of his mouth is, so what sauce are we making next? And we're like, I remember looking at everybody like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect thing to ever happen.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, oh, we're not going to make sauce. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We're in the bars. And he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And, we basically told him what we were going to do. And that coaching session was a waste.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at that point, it was like, I'm done with sauce wars, felt defeated.
Oh yeah.
It was just a low. That was the point when, my wife and I started going to church, and I started getting like picked back up.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, okay. It was really good having people around me to pick me back up and snap me out of a low place. I'm living with my parents. I have a new baby. Mm-hmm. Did I have a new baby at that time? No, maybe I still had only one. I think Jessie was pregnant.
Yeah.
Jessie was pregnant.
It's just nuts.
And, we're living at our parents' house. Jessie's like, we have to get out of here. Mm-hmm. We have to move out.
Yeah.
And so what we decided to do, do you have something else to say?
I have something else I got to fit in.
Yeah, fit it in there.
I remember the bars were, they were our new course. And we were going to set another layer of protection so that no one could actually take our recipe again.
Yep.
And so we decided we were going to make our own bars. We had a machine, and that we I don't know where we got that machine. Maybe it was given, or no.
We had already planned on doing bars.
Yeah.
And so we had picked up a few pieces of equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So we
already had that.
So this was a part of what we were doing. We were sitting on a bar machine.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we're gonna take this. It's funny. Like, have you ever heard the thing where you give someone a goat, and instead of doing all the stuff for them, like a villager in Africa, just give them a goat, and then they can take that goat and they can begin again. They can sell the milk, and then they can breed it or whatever, and it can spark a whole business for them. So this bar machine was our goat.
Yeah.
And it was where we decided we were going to go. But I remember going through this phase too, where there was like a spark of information that showed up in my brain. And I was like, wait a second, the sauce, what if we did this with sauce?
Yeah, I do.
What if, because stores have totally let me down, and but I still have the recipe of the greatest sauce that man has known. So what if we did a thing called the blender batch?
Yep.
And a blender batch would be like we would ship people the deconstructed ingredients
to the sauce. Yep.
And then they could make fresh batches at home.
Yeah. And this was kind of a pain point that we experienced with Bitchin Sauce and with our dip, Good Lovin' Dip, was like, e-commerce was like off the table. You have to ship everything refrigerated. And so, there's essentially, it's just a pain in the butt. There's no e-commerce solution to get around this crazy expensive shipping, ice packs, insulation, all that. And so this blender batch was like, this could be the solution to our e-commerce woes.
Yeah, you can ship lemon, but you can't ship lemon juice.
Yeah.
You have to refrigerate it.
Yeah.
You can ship almonds, and you can ship oil.
Yeah.
So this is a fleeting thing, but it was actually really valuable.
It was fleeting because it didn't work.
It didn't. I mean, we put together this product.
Concept it worked, but
and we made it like a beautiful, box of ingredients that someone could buy, and we had all the design done and the directions on how to make sauce at home, and all you needed is a blender and some water because you have water. We're not going to ship you that.
Yeah.
And that quickly we learned that was it was not the right time for that.
No, it wasn't.
But that was
It's just an interesting thought.
an interesting thought that that actually kind of plays into the rest of our story a little bit later.
Yeah, one of the elements of that was it's like, how do we regain control of our company? Even getting into stores, you're subject to buyer's decisions, one buyer for, a bunch of stores, and, what they say essentially goes. And, we're like, how do we have control where we can, we're so good at farmers markets. How do we translate that digitally and sell product digitally?
Yeah.
And we didn't have the solution for that.
But going direct to the customer was we
knew
knew
that
that was the best experience that we could possibly give.
Totally. Yeah.
So that's funny.
Go ahead.
Well, I think we need to, because this is another chapter. What we're going into is a chapter of our bar company. After the first chapter
I have one thing to add.
Okay,
One
sure.
thing to kind of round off this chapter.
Sure.
So moving into the bar company world, and we have this machinery, we have, we have recipes, and we have, I think we even had packaging, and we kind of had the guts of a bar business to launch and pull off. I think we had leftover from our Good Lovin' Foods company leftover. We only had a line of credit. It was like $80,000 line of credit, something like that, and that's what we were sitting on, and that was the seed to launching our own manufacturing facility.
Yeah.
And starting this new bar venture. So that's where this then leads to.
Yes. And yes, this next chapter will be equally crazy.
Yeah,
It doesn't-
Crazy hasn't stopped yet.
In fact, this next chapter might be some of my favorite stuff
Yeah.
to share. So
I'm wondering if I thought I was going to quit at this point.
oh yeah, I had to talk you back.
I'm wondering
Did you talk to your wife?
I'm wondering if it was this point that I was thinking of quitting
Here, let's start next chapter with you quitting.
or trying to.
Okay.
I think I tried to.
We're going to start the next podcast with this. So more to come.